Welcome everyone to our evening meditation session. And obviously you can see that a little bit different than our usual Thursday night group, as we have a special guest, Ajahn Tiradhammo, who's been available to come up and spend some time with us out of his busy schedule otherwise. So being here for our Thursday night group and staying with us here for a few days, and also being able to offer the Sunday meditation day as well. So hopefully you're able to come along for the extra meditations and teachings on the Sunday if you're available. But certainly this evening, just to welcome Ajahn Tiradhammo here again. We were planning to have you here for the retreat day in February. I think it was 20th of February, but Cyclone Alfred put an end to that. So things changed, but being able to make the arrangements to be here for now is good. And just a bit of a background for introduction to Ajahn Tiradhammo for those of you that haven't met him or haven't read his book. Probably a bit of a bio on the book as well, but the Ajahns now been a Buddhist monk for 51 years. So special amount of time, and which includes time in Thailand with Ajahn Chah, and then time in England, and abbot of a monastery up in the north of England for some time, and then the Ajahn was abbot in Switzerland at Dhammapala Monastery for 17 years. 17 years, and then was invited to take over the abbotship in monastery in New Zealand, Bodhinyana Monastery in Wellington. I was there for a number of years. 7 years. 7 years. And then the Ajahn spent time traveling around, relieving some of the senior monks, abbots of the monasteries, so they could go and take a break or visit family. And during that time, Ajahn was moving around, but now resident in Sydney at Wat Buddha Dharma Forest Monastery, just north of Sydney, up at Wiseman's Ferry. So, and I've known the Ajahn for many years. I met him in 1989 when I went to England, and was with him in Switzerland for a couple of years. And then since that time, certainly when he was in New Zealand, would invite him to come to teach at the meditation group that we had in Sydney for many years, and certainly he's been here a number of times as well. So we welcome you back, Ajahn, and thanks for making the time to offer some teachings. So over to you.
So what's the program? Program today?
30 minutes of meditation, and then some cup of tea, couple of minutes, and then some teachings for 20 minutes or so, then some questions and answers, finished at 7:30.
And they need instructions, or all advanced meditators there?
Maybe a bit of both. You've got the gong over there too.
Oh yeah.
You need.
Yep.
And the clock.
So taking up a comfortable position of sitting. And to make sure that it's comfortable, body is comfortable, you can bring attention to the body. Just let the body speak to you, rather than stay in your head and trying to figure out what the body's doing. Just try and listen to the body, bring awareness to sensation, sense of touch in the body, externally, internally. As well, just noticing how the body is at this time. And there's a few parameters. Is the body relaxed or tense? Body's warm or cool? And is the body comfortable in general, how you define comfort, lack of irritation, a lack of discomfort, pain. And we're just trying to find a reasonably comfortable position rather than trying to find the perfect comfort, which, because the body's always changing, we'll never be able to find it really, but just comfortable enough. And by comfortable enough, we're able to turn attention to a particular place in the body. If there is discomfort in the body, it'll attract your attention to it. Say, pain in the knee or something or other. But if your body is comfortable, then your awareness should be more free floating. So you can direct it to a particular place in the body. And the most general place is towards the sensation of breathing at the nostrils, or perhaps in the abdomen if you use that for your point of reference. Just so we can notice the sensation of natural breathing, the air coming into the body and the air passing out of the body. And maybe again, first of all, just notice how comfortable that breathing is. Just try to observe the natural breathing. Allowing the breath to flow into the body and then flow out of the body. Passing through the nostrils. So as a point of reference, we can use this sensation of natural breathing as a way to focus attention. Give it some special attention. Try to stay with this natural flow of breathing. So we build up this quality of attention or attentiveness to it. And sometimes it can be helpful just to be aware of the breathing, or what kind of breathing. We all have our habitual kind of breathing, but is that habitual kind of breathing, is it really natural? Does it feel constricted? Does it feel restrained? Does it feel forced? Or just allow it to flow quite naturally? As you give attention to the breathing, attention is, of course, a quality of mind. Can you be attentive to the breathing? Can you actually follow the breathing with some consistency? Or do you notice the mind drifting off, or shooting off maybe to different thoughts and memories, whatever? Again, we're just trying to observe. We observe the breathing, a physical process. And this quality of attending to the breathing is a mental process. So how's your attention at this time? By using the breathing as a focus of attention, you can increase the ability to be attentive, which allows what we call collectedness. The mind begins to settle down upon this one object. With that settledness, there's a sense of calm. We also need to sharpen that attention too. Calmness can sometimes lead to just dullness and sleepiness. You might try and be attentive to the breathing. So it's a energized and sharp focus. And if you notice that the mind is reasonably collected, reasonably calm, you can always expand the awareness from the breathing, say, to other sensations in the body. You can do this consciously, move the attention through the body, say from the top of the head down through the body, different parts of the body, around the eyes, the nose, the face, down the front of the body, down through the legs, up the back. Just trying to observe, say, the range of sensation that makes up this experience of body. And of course, sometimes the certain sensations in the body also relate to the state of mind. For example, if you bring attention to the very center of your chest, you notice any particular sensation there? Is the center of your chest relaxed, or is it tight? Is it noticeably warm or cool? Maybe nothing very special. Just the rising, falling of the chest with the breathing. Or if you do notice some strong sensation there, just see if you can relate that to a state of mind, an emotion maybe, an image. If nothing occurs to you, then just back to the breathing again. Settling attention on the breathing, continuously flowing in, flowing out. So bring attention back to the body once again. Being aware of sensation that makes up our experience of body. Is this experience of body familiar to you? Is it something new? Do you recognize it as something familiar, which you could call yourself? This is my body. Or is it something different? How about the state of mind at this particular time? What's the general condition of the mind? Say calm or not so calm, clear or dull. Is this condition of mind familiar to you? Is it a new mind?
Please help yourself to some tea and biscuits, and then we can have some reflections, teachings from the Ajahn.
just speak. I just speak, or
Yep.
my mind's too quiet. I speak silence. So the teachings of the Buddha are very extensive and very comprehensive. But I think it's really important that, first of all, to try to keep in mind the real purpose of the Buddha's teachings, because otherwise we can very easily get caught in all the details of it and forget what the real purpose is. What's the saying? You can't see the trees for the forest or something, or you can't see the forest from the trees. That's the way around. So I'd say very simply that the purpose of the Buddha's teachings is to realize selflessness. That's my phraseology for it anyway. Some people would say technically it's to realize nibbana. Anybody know what that is? Blank. But to me, the word selflessness is a bit more meaning to it, for me anyway. And maybe you can say something like to realize the transpersonal reality or something. And I think personally that this is the real purpose of all religions. We just have different ways to approach this reality. But it's a universal reality, selflessness. Like for example, the theistic religions, they emphasize realization of God or something. But what's God other than beyond yourself, outside yourself, right? I think that's generally unless you're really, what do you say, inflated, huh? You think I'm God. You think, but generally speaking, people do realize God is outside you or something other. So it's one way to practice the realization, or practice selflessness to realize it. So the Buddhist teachings they're designed to help us realize that, and there's a number of different paths. I mean, very simply, the simplest teaching the Buddha gave was, to practice the Eightfold Path. And simply to put it in, this is sometimes put in three ways. That is general morality or wise living, meditation, and wisdom. And basically, to realize selflessness, it needs to relate to the whole being, all of us, all of aspects of ourself. You can say body, speech, and mind, or body, mind, and spirit, or something or other. Or so this Eightfold Path is designed to give us a whole range of different ways to practice to realize this experience of selflessness. For example, skillful living. I mean, very simply, I would say that if you can live skillfully requires quite a bit of selflessness. It's like following the precepts, for example. The first precept to refrain from killing. To actually follow it requires quite a bit of selflessness. There are lots of annoying things in the world, right? But by my standard, you see, this mosquito shouldn't be here because it's annoying me. See, so I can kill it then. But to refrain from that, refrain from destroying any life, requires a lot of self-sacrifice, doesn't it? You know, it even seems illogical sometimes. That Buddha's almost saying that this is we should allow that malaria causing mosquitoes to live. It takes a lot of selflessness to see that. Yeah. But the whole point is it's about harming. Harming is an act of selfishness. The breaking the precepts is selfishness. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct or sexual exploitation, lying, intoxication. It's all ways to it's very selfish activities. Okay, maybe sometimes intoxication, people lose themselves temporarily, but then they come back with even more headache and more problems. It's a form of delusion, self-delusion, that you can just intoxicate yourself into enlightenment, you see. But we try to follow these standards, and of course there's various degrees too. It's kind of like what we call the normal way, the normal human standard. Refrain from the 5 precepts: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, intoxication. Then you can refine that. Really not only refraining from killing, but total harmlessness. Can you imagine that? Total harmlessness in body, speech, and mind. I must admit, I wasn't very good about it today, just annoying people walking in front of me and stuff. Right? So I had a few, I wouldn't say murderous thoughts, but at least they were they were unkind thoughts, at least I didn't kill them, so I'm still keeping the precepts. But to try and follow those with body, speech, and mind, harmlessness is quite a bit of self-sacrifice, doesn't it? They walk in front of me, but if I don't think of myself, they're just walking. There's no me there to be disturbed, right? Yeah. Didn't happen today necessarily, but but sometimes maybe it does. Or stealing, I just walked through Sydney Airport and there was this chocolate shop there with 30 kinds of different chocolate in the front window. So we're allowed dark chocolate in the evening, see. So, but there were 30 kinds of it, maybe with no money. I went to the bookshop just passing by the bookshop to see what books were there too. And in when I was in Wiseman's Ferry a week ago, there is a library in Wiseman's Ferry, a free library where people leave books for free. So I went past it and I took a few books out, no cashier, free. Help yourself. I went to the bookshop in the Sydney Airport. It's like, oh, books here, free books. No, no, $40. Oh. was the ones at Westminster Ferry were free, but they weren't necessarily the latest, hot off the press ones, were the ones in the bookshop at Sydney Airport were, oh, that was a good one there. That's a good one. It's not free though. So I didn't steal it. Had to sort of practice self-surrender and just give it up. Renounce my attraction towards them. But to be able to follow those standards, like really it's skillful living. We live in a way which supports selflessness. So that's it's not a matter of just following a bunch of rules. Like some people, they take on these basic rules and say, oh, yeah, gosh, the Buddha's been very picky with these rules I got to follow, so I can get to heaven or something. That's the point. There are standards to try to live selflessly. So when you try to follow the standards, observe, are you being selfish? Some people become very selfish following the precepts. They get very, very arrogant. I'm so pure. I keep these precepts. I'm so holy. I keep these precepts. Is that selfless? No, you're increasing yourself, aren't you? You're increasing your ego, self-reference, patting yourself on the back, how pure I can follow this standard, you see. Then there's meditation practice. As you know, something about it. There's right efforts, right mindfulness, right, I would say collectedness. Word samadhi, I translate as collectedness. Yeah, the right concentration is a bit too narrow, I would say. But collectedness, just collecting in the energies of mind. Yeah. And the Buddha, he qualifies it right effort, right mindfulness. I've read a few books recently, and there's a lot of mention of mindfulness, but I haven't come across one that's mentioned right mindfulness yet. It's okay, it's good enough. I was reading a book about somebody who had agoraphobia. I guess I would say she had agoraphobia. So, and then she had her therapist suggested she practice mindfulness. One of the standards of right mindfulness is, the Buddha points out, besides being mindful or aware of four particular areas: body, feelings, states of mind, and particular, you say, qualities, Buddhist qualities particularly. But also, when you're becoming mindful, aware of these things, these qualities, for example, the body, also be aware of the arising factors of this sensation, the passing away factor of it. The state of mind, try and be aware of the rising qualities, the rising factors that condition this state of mind. Some people can be aware of the state of mind, like angers or something, but try and be aware of the arising of it. Huh? Little bit more, basically a little bit more refinement, doesn't it? And the passing away factors. Just even mentioning that, anger is not a thing. If it arises and passes away, is it a thing? It's a process, right? So from, just being aware of one particular state of mind, like anger or something or other, now you're aware of this process. It arises and passes away. It arises and passes away. If you can be aware of the conditions, especially the rising of it, perhaps you can head it off. You notice that sometimes, it passes away from sometimes it's hard for us even to identify why or notice how it passes away. Maybe it's a change of weather. The other day it was a very gloomy day in Sydney in the monastery, and then I noticed my mind was feeling a bit dull, and then the sun came out. Ah, just change in weather can change my mood. Of course not. I can't control the weather, so I got a problem, haven't I? If I'm waiting for the weather to always be sunny, then I coming up the sunny Gold Coast and it's cloudy and raining even. I'm reading a book about this lady who had agoraphobia, like I was saying, and then the therapist suggested she be mindful of her condition. And it did help her, of course, just to be aware that she has this phenomena comes up. She thinks about going outside her house and then paralysis. But if this therapist had told her, try and be aware of the arising conditions of it and the passing away conditions of it, it would be quite a different experience, I think. Like I was just noticing, for example, just the thinking about some of these things, thinking about going out of the house, for example, for this lady, just thinking of it, terror, But if she didn't think about it, imagine she could just do it, maybe. Like coming up here, for example, I was just the thought of it a few days ago. Oh, gee, Thursday I have to go up to Gold Coast. Oh, get an airplane, get to the airport, get on the airplane. Oh, cover a blanket over my head again. But come Thursday at 9:30, I hop in the car. Well, I didn't hop, but I dragged myself out of the car. And before you know it, we're going down the motorway and at the airport, and here I am. And I didn't die or didn't I didn't get agoraphobia. But the thinking about it, that was the worst part. Just the doing it just happens, just right there. The thinking about it was really so when you can notice that, then it is mostly the thoughts that bring up the fear, right? Yeah, when you're facing something, okay, maybe you think about it, quite frightening. When you're in it, I don't know, maybe for you, when the cyclone was here, thinking about it, the cyclone's coming in, it's coming in, you're gonna get blown off the hill, and then the wind's blowing and you're here, and well, that's the way it is. Nobody died of a heart attack, did they? But if you notice the arising and the passing away factors of these qualities, then you see it quite differently. That's right mindfulness, you see. It's a bit different than just ordinary so-called, what do you say, conventional mindfulness for most people. And then there's, besides meditation, there is wisdom. And this kind of wisdom, again, it's another, we use these conventional terms, the word panya. It means actually, jnana is knowledge, and pa is sort of like a accentuated knowledge. So it's the highest knowledge. It's not just learning or knowledge, but it's the highest knowledge, wisdom. And that the highest form of wisdom, the Buddha points out, is gained through meditation practice. And even the word meditation, we have to kind of, it's the Pali word is bhavana, which literally means development. So we're developing these qualities. We all have some degree of energy, effort, some degree of mindfulness, some degree of collectedness, but most of us, it's not very well developed. So this is a matter of trying to develop these qualities so they ideally become what we call spiritual powers. I mean, very, very powerful factors in our life, and not just, passing qualities. And when they develop some strength, then our whole state of mind changes. The way we look at the world changes. If you're mindful of things, if you're more aware of them, your mind doesn't go into all the interpretation, for example. If you're present with, if you have full presence of mind, mindfulness, what's going on in your mind and in the world, then you're with it and not stuck in, not going off into all the interpretations and all the possibilities and maybe this, maybe that. You're with reality. This is the way it is. Yeah, this is what's happening, whether it's so-called pleasant or unpleasant. This is what's happening. But you'd be noticing your own mind that maybe many times you're off on could be this and could be that and could be the other. You're wasting your time. You're in fantasy land, actually. You aren't in reality anymore. But you can be aware of what is right now. You're right here. This is the way it is, whether you like it or not. It takes quite a bit of selflessness, doesn't it? Do you like it or not? This is the way it is, folks. This is the evening news forecast. This is the way it is. But the highest kind of wisdom comes from the development of mindfulness and collectedness and right effort. So this is a different kind of wisdom for most people. Most people's degree of mindfulness and collectedness is not very strong. So, their degree of wisdom is not very strong either. We're seeing most of the time is seeing things distorted, our interpretation of them, not how they really are. Our interpretation, and fortunately, most people don't have too much of a distortion. Yeah, we can say we're normal, right? Whatever that is. Or we have a normal distortion. We're all normally distorted. So we live in a kind of a communal delusion, okay? When you increase these qualities of mindfulness and collectedness, you see through this. It becomes a different world, it becomes a much more peaceful world, for example. If your mind is more collected and scattered with all the interpretations, you know, much more peaceful. The way it really is very simple. It's just this. Not could be this and could be that and could be the other and blah, blah, blah. This is the way it is. End of conversation. End of discussion. Yeah. So it's very, very peaceful. And it is reality, as it really is. The way things really are. As the Buddha defined his teaching as seeing things as they really are. Forget about Nibbana. Nibbana is just seeing things as they really are. Interesting or pretty boring? Nirvana sounds more exciting, doesn't it? So we have the opportunity to practice this. The Buddha gives us these tools to use, yeah, but it's all about the practice. It's like, like when you go into school, learning how to do some carpentry or something, but you say it's actually the doing that develops the skill. You have to put them into practice and use it. And not just in a situation like a formal sitting meditation, but put it into our daily life. That was Ajahn Chah's, I think, a special contribution to spiritual practice for most of us, Westerners anyway. We learn meditation usually from a meditation retreat. But Ajahn Chah taught that this way of life was to be used in everyday life. Sweeping leaves and hauling water and eating your meal and putting on your robes and of course that's for most people that's not normal life, is it? Living in a monastery. But maybe you have a little bit of a like a more simplified life. To me the monastic life is just very simplified. Yeah, it's very, very simplified. But we still eat and sleep and get tired and have to go have a shower and but yeah, very, very simplified now. Just the very, very basic things. When it comes to your own life, a bit more complicated, but maybe so you can say it's a real test of your mindfulness, test of your collectedness. Can you still go about your everyday life and still stay collected, or otherwise we just go back to the breathing again and try to establish our point of reference, and gradually this becomes a stronger ability to be able to do this. Notice our mind getting scattered. And if you develop this quality for a while, this exercise, the breath is always there. It's always there in the background a little bit. You're always breathing. So if we use breathing as a point of reference, it's always there. We forget sometimes, but still breathing. Yeah. But it takes practice. So see you all on Sunday. So you got some time for questions still? Oops. Few minutes. This is the advanced class.
Touching on what you and Alberta were talking about earlier, for me, it's very difficult to get to a point where I'm asking questions because so often they get answered as we're experiencing. But I guess I'm a little bit more of on the beginner side of things, and when I go through a meditation where I'm sort of scanning through my body, I tend to, I guess it's a back and forth of like visualizing, which sort of rolls into thinking, and then I try to sort of get back out of that. Is that just the sort of, I guess, wrong way to focus that attention, or is that snowballing into thought? Or I mean, I guess it's a bit of a stuck point I'm at with that sort of scanning process. With that particular meditation.
Well, I mean, to do the scanning, you need to use your mind. So that using your mind is a bit of a intellectual. It is still theoretical, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the idea is to try to observe the sensation itself directly. So I mean, another way to do it is just try to observe the strong sensations rather than just scan through the whole body. Just try to, if you can move your attention to the body, because roughly you have an idea roughly where the body is, but bring your attention to certain places and try to be aware of the sensation there. And where there is stronger sensation, you can go back there again, like the coolness in the forehead, for example, or tension in the neck or something. You don't have to go to every single point, but if more to be aware of the sensation itself directly, coolness or heat or tension or tightness, or there's certain places in the body where there is normally. I mean, start off with just the body sitting on the ground, touching, the knees, the feet, your hands touching, so you're aware of that sensation. Then maybe you can expand a little bit to the more subtler sensations, the breath, coolness on the forehead, maybe the tension in the neck or something, but try to stay with the sensation directly rather than go into the theoretical scanning all the time.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yep.
It's helpful.
Ajahn, I guess I was thinking about what you're talking about, bringing mindfulness into our daily lives and all that activity. So for me, I've noticed, yeah, it's a matter of kind of like trying to slow things down in order for that mindfulness to be there, be caught up in all the things that we have to do, all the responsibilities we have. You know, the mind starts going forward more, thinking about the consequences of doing things or not doing things the right way. And so I guess slowing down allows me to kind of come back into just what I'm doing now. Is that the same in your experience, or is it just a matter of like, you know, focusing the attention and then things take care of themselves?
Well, the slowing down does help, and especially when natural mindfulness is not so strong itself, we can use all the support we need, like having regular practice and slowing things down, and there's a few things like that, having supportive friends and supportive time. And some people have we have our own biorhythms, for example. There's sometimes when we're more naturally mindful. I'm a morning person myself, so I do more practice in the morning, early in the morning, and then as the evening comes on, I get more and more sleepy and tired and more scattered. So I find it easier for me in the morning to have deeper meditations, if you like. But everybody's different. But in the beginning it's helpful that we can use the benefits of all kinds of whatever supports us in that until it gains some momentum, you see. For some people, if they try too hard, they try, and some people think more the better, and it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes more is more counterproductive, because you just exhaust yourself, and then you lose your confidence, you think it's not working. And my own practice is more like doing a little bit often. Some people, they're the kind of do it all at once, like go on a very intensive retreat, once a year or something, intensive retreat, and it's enlightenment or bust. Yes, but I don't find that helpful myself. So I met some people who've tried that, and then they've really had a difficult time. Really excruciating experience, and then psychologically speaking, I think the strongest impression is your last one. Like some people, they want to sit the longest. I think, the longer I sit, the better. And then they hit the pain barrier, and then they can't sit any longer. The last memory is the pain. So next time, think meditation, pain. Let's just try badminton or something. So it's just sit as long as you enjoy it. You got to recognize the pleasure principle. If you enjoy it, you want to do it again. If you're hitting the pain barrier every time, you'll soon give up. So your last memory is the pain, you see. That's not a very positive one to take away with you. Yeah. So whatever positive conditions you have, slowing down, or practicing at a certain time, practicing more, having more quality practice, for example, can also give you more confidence, and give you something to, oh yes, it does, it does work, but sometimes it's not to force it.
Yeah, I think that the longer I've practiced, the more that quality of patience, with the process and with myself.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah.
That's really important. So we're always going to make mistakes and slip into bad old habits.
Yep.
But to be patient with that, and to then, just like you said, you go back to the breath, or you go back to just being aware of the
Yep.
present,
Yep.
and yeah, just keep resetting.
Don't be afraid to start over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one of Ajahn Chah's, main emphasis was patience. Patience. He used to talk about, you come here to die. You come here for 5 years, not we all came there, we rushed to Thailand to get enlightened, before my visa expires, just relax. Think about 5 years. Once he even told me, he said that he's turning one day and he said, I can't give you any wisdom. All I can give you is patience. And I was so disappointed. Came all the way there for his wisdom and not for patience, I got no patience for patience. After a while, I realized the wisdom of that was that he giving us the patience that we can learn to see ourselves. Like the real wisdom is learning about yourself, not picking his wisdom out of his head. You see, so, and who wants to look at themselves? it's a lot of unpleasant stuff there to have to look through. So, but he gave us the patience. He gave us the encouragement, the support to just stay with it through thick and thin. So through all the ups and downs and blacks and whites and everything. And he wasn't there, then I would have left as soon as I got black. You see, I'm only there for the good stuff. But that's quite limited. It's not the whole picture.
Ajahn, just a small question in regards to the guided meditation you did at the beginning, or leading into the meditation, and there was a part that was the body scan and noticing the sensations of comfortableness and uncomfortableness. And at the end of that, you return to directing awareness to the center of the body and seeing what came up there. I was just wondering what was there, did that matter where that was, or was there a reason you chose the center of the body just as the final part before relaxing into the breath?
I could have used other places, like the abdomen or somewhere, but but for some people, they have, we have these sayings in English, right? Heavy-hearted, light-hearted, warm-hearted, cold-hearted, Yeah, so it is more like you'd say maybe it's an emotional center, as a sensation, for example, physical sensation registers in emotion registers in the body more in this area. Also in the abdomen too, in the gut feelings and stuff and fear but it's for some people it's quite noticeable. You just never noticed my heart before. Never noticed here before. I mean, it's a heart. We say maybe I say more like a spiritual heart rather than the physical heart, but it's for some people it's quite a noticeable sensation there sometimes.
So that was just a way of seeing if there was any insight from the wisdom of the body before letting that go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a way into also, in Buddhism, emotion is a state of mind, you see.
Mhm.
So we don't, in Buddhism, we don't have a distinction between emotion and state of mind, you see. But in the West, there's emotion and there's, a state of mind is usually an intellectual thing. What's your state of mind? Is it you, what? I don't know what. But, intelligent or not intelligent? I guess there's something or other. But in Buddhism, emotion is also a state of mind or condition of mind, you see. So it's another way of being able to recognize the body-mind interrelationship. Now there is the physical expression of emotion. There's also the mental one. But they're interrelated, you see. There's an interrelationship between them. And sometimes it's easier to go, like, for example, like something like anger. I mean, for me, it's very hard to look at anger, so to speak, but go to the body. Thunk. The body's slower to change. And I say it's even stupid, you say. But if I go into my brain, anger, no, not me. I'm not angry. I have a right to be angry. You're trying to be very clever, you see. But go to the body. Oh, that's what it feels like, and that's wow. It's pretty obvious what it doesn't change so quickly, and it's not very intellectual, and just come up with all these interpretations about it. Just feel it. Aha. Just sense it. So it could lead you, if you're trying to be aware, like one of the first exercise in being aware of states of mind, mindful of states of mind, is greed, aversion, delusion. Can you be aware of your greed, aversion, delusion? What, me? Deluded? No. Greedy? No way. But if you bring it to your awareness to your body, you say, okay, where's delusion? How's your body feeling? What's the sensation in the body? I don't know. Delusion. Or if you're angry, it's hard to admit you're angry, but look at your body. Yeah, okay. It's like looking in a mirror sometimes. There's one person I remember saying, they were I said, why are you so angry? He said, I am not angry. Just look in the mirror. They couldn't recognize it, couldn't acknowledge it. They couldn't be mindful of it, but but you could see it in their, you could read it. You could read it in their bodily expression. Their body language. You could read their anger, but they couldn't recognize it. So even more body awareness, then you can notice these emotions before they, kind of take you over, hijack you. And then sometimes these emotions, of course, are locked in the body too, Just having noticing it in your brain doesn't help. It's locked in the body, so you may have to do some exercises even to loosen up a bit. The body can't fool us as much as your mind can.
Good. Thank you, Ajahn, for sharing this evening.
Mhm.
And certainly hope that you can come and join us for the Sunday retreat, 9:30 until 2. Bring some food to share for lunch, so a shared lunch, and receiving more guidance and teachings from Ajahn Tiradhammo. But thanks for coming out this evening, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.